Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC ahead of our matchup between Rogue and XL. I'm going to steal away some of your time to talk about why I'm so excited for this Rogue roster. You may have already heard it from some other members of the on-air talent team or on social media that Rogue are expected to hit the ground running. To understand why, let's quickly look back at their summer where they finished first in the regular season. They were experts in controlling objectives thanks to their reliable and dominant laners combined with their smart jungler. Once they had a lead, they would rarely let it go. You only have to look at some of the stats underneath, like a first, a second, etc. Now, this team wouldn't typically try to snowball through multiple kills, but with smart wave management, objective focus, and clean execution. When they faltered, it was due largely to individual errors in the early game or chaotic games that they couldn't close out, but by and large, this team was very consistent. Throughout last year, they showed continued growth, and coming into 2021, they are bringing in 2 new players that I believe will elevate them even further. Finn had moments of glory, but Odoamne is someone that I believe will be a huge rock. This guy saw his entry into Europe in 2014 on H2K. He's had his ups and downs, but he's been considered a top 5 top laner in Europe ever since then. This player will only level up Rogue's consistency. Now, Trymbi, this is a player many of you probably aren't familiar with, but soon you will be. Vander was a voice, a smart player that moved around the map. Trymbi is expected to be a confident, mechanical support god that will fight, roam, and look to make things happen. An EU Masters champion with ADC Rogue, this 20-year-old Polish support has been slowly working his way up the ladder over the last few years, and many players are naming him as the next support star in the LEC. When you combine these with staples with the already well-established second team All-Pro players of Inspired, Larssen, and Handsummer, it's hard to not see this team look to repeat their success from summer and challenge for the top spots.
Fantastic. I love that breakdown. A couple of new faces on the side of Rogue looking to hit the ground running, as you say. And I think it's the other end of the spectrum when we look at their opponents today in XL, because for XL, they famously have failed to make the playoffs so far and are the only org since the inception of the LEC to not make playoffs so far. So that is going to be their goal. And they've made a couple of very interesting and I think pivotal changes to their roster, with Dan coming in the jungle, Czekolad in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think Czekolad, coming through the ADC Rogue lineup alongside Trymbi has really shown us how strong he can be as a mid laner. He is an incredibly powerful player. He's very good at putting pressure in through the mid lane. And the question to me is he the missing part of this XL puzzle? Because XL have struggled over the last 2 years to find their identity. You had the Expect Mickey era, then you went into the special times, and they were never really able to work out a roster that really suited how they wanted to play. So my question is Czekolad going to be that missing piece of the puzzle for this XL lineup?
Well, I definitely think he's going to bring new flavor to the mid lane, especially when I think that on the champions that he is known for, he is very good at. And I think that right now, this is the meta for him. But he's also paired up alongside Patrik, a superstar AD carry that, has already been rising to prominence. But last summer, I think he really showcased how talented he is. And he was in close contention for those top AD spots at the very end of our All-Pro voting. So, him combined with Patrik, I think are 2 big stars. But I still have some doubts. I don't know if Dan is enough to bring this all together.
Well, I think nobody's going to blame you for having doubts, right? But XL definitely took steps to try and mitigate and try and get to those playoffs this time around. They're building on some strong building blocks. Their bot lane, top lane Kryze, who didn't have a smash season, but is taking his first step, so we can expect some growth from him coming into this year. So do you feel similar to Vedius, and how do you think these 2 new members will fit in the Project XL?
I think this is the closest XL have been to being a fully rounded lineup since they joined the league, in my opinion at least. I think Czekolad is a very strong mid laner, as you say, the meta suits him right now. Kryze is an aggressive top laner who can also play tanks. We saw a little bit of that last year. And then having Dan as a facilitating jungler who is much more about helping his team out rather than being the star of the show will really help amplify the carries in Kryze, Czekolad, and Patrik.
Yeah, great point. And I mean, Caedrel was also the type of player that would try and help the team.
Yeah, he was okay.
Hey, I was for once trying.
He's on the casting team now.
I was trying to not diss him. The guy's having his first day. Hey, come on. Now, something I do want to know is, Vedius, I know that your mom is a huge fan of XL and is always offering you advice and maybe even coaching tips. And she sent you quite a lengthy message. What are the cliff notes of what she thinks about this XL?
She has unequivocal faith that they will succeed and win every single game game, make World Finals even. But she said that losing was also not an option. So only a small amount of pressure from my mother on this team. But yeah, she's supporting them and she's excited. I don't have that same confidence, but we'll see who's right at the end of the day.
We'll see indeed. A tall order, I think, but very fly new jerseys. We have to say that. Excel, they're facing a tough challenge in their first game as they look to pull off an upset against Rogue.
I guess we'll find out today if Vedius' mom will be happy. Really the high stakes you expect in a game of League of Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of expectations on XL for Vedius' mom. World's Finals?
Yeah, they're probably, if they're going to win everything, I mean, eventually they just have to run out of things to win, and that would mean World Finals. So she must think that you are quite bad if she thinks that this replacement of Dan immediately takes them to World Finals.
Yeah. That kind of sucks. Yeah.
But Caedrel, I got to know, not to harp on the Excel train too much here, because obviously a lot of expectations for Rogue as well. As a guy who used to play for this team, is this one of those situations where you're like, I am, like, these are my boys, like, obviously off the caster desk, this is a team that you really want to see succeed, or is this one where you're like, I know how they play, and I'm going to rip them to pieces with criticism?
No, they're definitely my boys. I know all the management, all the players, I'm friends with them all, and I think that I would love to see them succeed even without me, and I think that if you look at last split, especially in summer, if you look at the stats bot, we had a 96% chance of making playoffs in that last Super Weekend.
Yeah.
So if Dan and Czekolad are that extra 4%, then all praises to XL. I hope they make it, but we'll have to see, because I think Rogue is a really good contender to look at and compare yourself to, because from what I've heard, Rogue is dominating scrims. They're the highest win rate scrim team. And if XL can beat them in week 1, that's a good start, especially when you change out 2 players.
And you put them S tier.
Yeah.
Alongside G2. Fnatic wasn't there. Mad Lions weren't there. It was just Rogue and G2. So you got a lot of confidence in this team. We're going to have to see if that pays off and how exactly this unfolds. It's a bit of a high-stakes game. It's going to set the pace for both of these teams as we move further into the season. What is going to be their first head-to-head matchup.
Yeah.
Welcome again to Champions Select for Game 3. It is Rogue on the blue side versus Excel on the red. We'll keep our eyes on the bans and the trends coming through. So far, the story of the day has been Gragas, very good into Renekton, seemingly unstoppable. We'll see if that remains the case as these champions, or as these players kick things off. It'll be the Olaf and the Camille banned away once again.
Yeah, Camille's been banned out every game. Olaf got through one time. Talia's also been out every game. We know the OPs. We know Kryze, Pantheon, Akali. All these things are the OPs in the first station bans. So it's all about what Rogue want to push out of XL to get a first pick from, and what XL want to trade, knowing what they give to Rogue. So we'll have to see what they want to ban out here, because Rogue are going to ban away the Kai'Sa, so a couple of OPs are open. We'll just have to see what Rogue decides to go for.
Interesting. See if we end up in a situation again where we see the Thresh Aphelios combo come through. Doesn't seem insanely powerful, definitely looks solid, but most of the really strong picks that we've seen so far have been, honestly, top laners. They're looking very, very important.
Yep.
In the last 2 games. But Renekton is also going to get banned away, may also reduce the priority on Gragas, change things up a bit on the top side of the map. What will Odoamne pick?
Does Larssen want his Akali? Do they want to go for something like the Lillia, the Nidalee?
True.
Which inspired, I'm sure he can play to a very high level, but they're going to go for the Lucian. Now, I'm not sure if that's a Lucian flex, because I would assume that's a Lucian mid, because I've been seeing it a little bit in solo queue. So I'm expecting that to be the mid laner from Rogue here. Now, do XL want to go for the Aphelios Thresh? As an ex-teammate of Patrik, I know he loves his Aphelios. He was a great Aphelios, especially when we took down G2. He stole dragons with it and everything, so... Whoa, that's an Udyr! That's an Udyr!
What? 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 Okay, we're going to have to wait and see what...
Well, it is 2-0 in the LCK.
That's... Okay, that's true.
So it does... I think I'm right in saying it does have a 100% win rate in high-level professional play, so Dan definitely feeling himself here. I think that might have caught Rogue a little bit off guard, because I wouldn't expect him to think that Udyr has hit Europe just yet, because it was only played a few days ago. So Dan definitely showing confidence on this, and now with this Thresh pick, I expect them to round out the third pick with Aphelios. And you can see Rogue going for an AP jungler because they have the Lucian mid. So
Okay, oof. We're going to follow up on the Udyr later, folks. Caedrel can break it down a little bit for you, and we can see exactly how it unfolds. Those of you who've watched more LCK probably are a little bit more comfortable with this pick, but we'll see how it fares on the EU stage. That said, Lillia locked in. See what the final option is here for Rogue. Wouldn't be surprised to see them anticipating the Aphelios. The Kalista is going to be the lock-in here, so a lot of early game power on this Rogue lineup already. Kalista and Lucian both very lane-dominant champions.
Yeah, and that Kalista pick kind of cements the Lucian going mid. It could go top, you could say, but I think the Lucian top days aren't really the era of today. I think that's going mid for sure. Now, what do XL want to do? They want to pick a mid laner here to respond. They want to go for the Aphelios, which is what we said would come out when we see the Thresh. So, kind of predictable draft here from the side, apart from the Udyr. Now, I'm curious to see what XL want to pick mid here, because Rogue can get Lucian first pick and 2 bans, so they must be very happy about that. I'm expecting maybe some control mages banned out, perhaps even Tristana to stop the lane from being so volatile.
Well, and it's certainly going to be difficult because remember, again, we're in a situation similar to where we were in last game, where we have a new player playing up against someone who has made a name for themselves here in the LEC. It wasn't too long ago that Larssen was the rookie setting foot on the stage, but now he is absolutely a top 3 mid laner in the league, or has been, someone that is not to be messed with. So for Czekolad, this was already a high stakes first game, but now you're playing against a champion who, you know, kills people level 1, kills people level 2, kills people level 3. You have to be prepared.
Yeah, and 2 support bans coming in from XL, I predict. I mean, the Alistar, first of all, is a really good ban because Kalista Alistar is so strong. You can throw the Alistar in. But the problem I see for XL here is Leona's really good Kalista. Sett, you even have Galio if you want it. So I think there's lots of engaged supports here which are going to work. I think XL are just taking away the best ones that they think that they will face, Nautilus being one of them. So Syndra ban, I'm expecting maybe another mage. Orianna, you want to make sure you pair Aphelios Udyr with an AP carry perhaps. So Rogue must be happy, like we said, with the Lucian first pick and the double mid ban. And we'll have to see what XL can respond to it with, because they will get the count pick top, and they're gonna ban away the Gragas. So Rogue a little bit scared of the Gragas. Perhaps they think that it's a bit annoying, especially for the champion they're gonna pick on 4-5. We'll have to see what they decide on doing, but I expect mid to be picked up here, and then a counter pick for Kryze in the top lane on the last pick.
Yeah, potentially just trying to take away some safe blind picks so they are able to counter pick for at least one lane here by taking the Gragas off the board. Certainly makes that a little bit more possible.
Zoe.
Interesting, interesting. This is a matchup that we've seen, I think, go both ways. Obviously, Zoe is a champion who isn't super... You're not going to bully Lucian out of the lane, but you certainly can go even and provide a lot more of that utility value, the poke, the sleepy trouble bubble.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to go for something like the Aatrox here. I think that could work really well with the Lillia. But they could also go for something like the Ornn, which could be a bit annoying for these mobile carries of XL, but they do have the Thresh. And like we said, Kalista is paired with anything really that has engaged. Leona, Sett, Galio, Nautilus, Alistar. Yes, some of them are slightly better, but Sett's going to work really well. I'm expecting a lot of early game aggression from the bot lane of Rogue here. And now it's all down to the top lane. We've seen all four champions on either side. All it leaves is the top lane. Is Odoamne going to pick something like a tank and just get kind of slightly counter-picked? But there's lots of top lane bans, so...
But come on, it's Odoamne's debut. Kennen coming through it. Now, as I was saying that, I did not expect it to be Kennen being picked up here, but certainly an Odoamne special. When Sjokz was looking for a miracle, Odoamne Kennen was one of the picks that came up clutch when they needed it.
Yeah, and that Kennen's going to provide a lot of teamfight pressure for the side of Rogue. Lots of space being given for this Kalista Lucian. And also the fact that Kennen is super ungankable for an Udyr. You can't run down the Kennen when he's got the E to run away.
What? Excuse?
Is it an Ivern top? It's an Ivern top! Now, I've seen LS's tier list, and he put Ivern, I think, in A or S tier, just because of the Moonstone with the staff.
Yep.
So, I think that's an Ivern top. I think LS is going to be really happy about that one, because someone's picking it up. And now this comp of XL has so much shielding from the Ivern. And Dan is going to be the front line on the Udyr. The problem is he's not very mobile, so the engage from XL here is about grouping up and poking them out of towers and making sure that if they try to engage, the Zoe bubbles hit, the Ivern can stop them, and the Udyr can counter-engage.
Caedrel, I feel like this game is going to be an absolute mess.
Yes.
I cannot wait to see what happens. This is most certainly, outside of potential troll games at the end of the season, the first Ivern top, and definitely the first Udyr in a very long time. Flash Bear Slap feels like the last real Udyr we had in this league, so shout out to Quickshot for that one as we get ready for Rogue versus Excel Esports. No. And here we are, the first professional Ivern top in League of Legends history. And while Caedrel accidentally hit the button that makes the Swain head appear, that's the perfect reaction that I have to this pick. That is some 5-head, big brain stuff.
Mind blown.
Absolutely mind blown.
Yep.
Wow. And right when they released the Coven skin, good on you, because up until this point, I think Ivern had literally 0 good skins. Sorry, skins team. But this one I do like.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this Ivern top plays out. He's got Airy. He's gone for the Dark Seal, so I'm guessing he's just going to try and farm up as much as he can, play safe. Definitely no kill pressure from an Ivern, but I think that him and Udyr are going to work really well together. Something small, interesting thing is the Ivern's going to have red buff after level 5, so once Udyr takes the red, Ivern's going to pick it up by walking up next to it, so he's going to have red buff at the top lane, which is a small little interaction, which is pretty cool. But I'm expecting Kryze to build full supportive items here, and Dan to be a monster on this Udyr, because you get movement speed as well from the Staff Flowing Water as well.
Yep.
It's on top of the Ghost and the Shield, so this Udyr is going to be a fast boy.
And important to note, if you haven't seen an Ivern in a long time, which is probably most of us, he is now permanently ranged as a champion. They changed that a while back. He does still get the bonus damage from being in a bush, so it's important for him to stay in this bush to continue to auto-attack here, but he will still have at least a little bit of range to make sure that he's not a melee champion who's forced to just get endlessly harassed by this Kennen.
I like that the camera's up here because this is the first time I think maybe ever we've seen an Ivern top in competitive gameplay.
I should have brought it up at the start, but yeah, production confirmed while we were doing that awesome intro video. That's the first Ivern top in competitive play ever. So a lot of pressure on Kryze. So I'm saying he's first, you know, his last season was all right. It was a bit of a mixed bag. You know, had some great games, had some really bad games, and now he's playing his first game of the season up against Odoamne, a very good player who came off of a very good season with Sjokz. And he's playing Ivern, so curious to see how this works.
Yeah, let's focus on how the game's going. So we've got one jungler starting top side, full clearing, one jungler starting bot side, full clearing. So both junglers are full clearing, both going to opposite sides of the map. So the Dan is not actually playing around Kryze in the early game. Kryze is going to be like this weak side sort of Ivern. I think he's just going to try and play safe as best he can. And you can see Rogue's bot lane's getting the push. We don't see the level 1 flash in from Sett like we did last game, but they have the push. And they have got a ward in the river, so they should be safe from Udyr. I just think that XL's goal in this early game is to make sure that Udyr can power farm and try to lose as little as possible on these solo lanes, because I think they have 2 losing solo lanes. The bot lane's getting pushed in as well. And I think Dan just wants to make sure he can get a couple items in. Look to go for the team fights.
Going for the power farm strategy, trying to do 2 camps at the same time. Obviously should be pretty easy for them. We saw in the mid lane, solid trade, Czekolad making the best of a bad situation by connecting both the Sleepy Bubble, Trouble Bubble, and the Paddle Star. That will never be an easy spell name to say. So now Czekolad is going to use the bit of lane pressure that he has built up. He'll be spotted by a ward, but he does ward out and get a bit of vision for the team.
So he should know that the Raptors are down. Lillia started on the Raptors. Dan's going to spot him out now. Inspired has no smite, so Dan could contest it if he wants. He's going to force Inspired away and take it away. So double crab for Dan. Oh no, he didn't pick up bot side crab. It looks like he gave that up because Rogue's bot lane had so much push. So Rogue's bot lane actually took the crab themselves. So Dan gets away with the crab, does arrive in time, and that just shows how fast Dan's clear is compared to the Lillia that Inspired's playing here. But he's going to pick up his Raptor respawn. Dan does go back to base, so quite a quiet early game for both teams, which you'd expect, because I think XL are looking to scale as much as possible. They don't have too much playmaking. The Ivern, Zoe in the solo lanes, bot lane being pushed in. Udyr wants to power farm, so it's on Rogue to try and find these advantages. Try and use this Lucian, Lillia, Kennen to get level 6, try and get the Heralds, try and get the Drakes, and start pushing this game forwards and stop XL from being able to scale for free.
Absolutely. And also, I'm just very curious to see how this Udyr plays out. Just checking in on Korean solo queue, we've got almost exclusively phase rush and a very good amount of chem tank, but seeing the Conqueror here could potentially mean that Dan has something different planned and different in mind. There are a few Stride Breaker games out there floating around in high ELO, but we'll find out what the option is momentarily. As Torre is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. We'll be forced to flash out to safety, trading that for Trymbi's Ignite. So again, overall, very positive trade for the team. Not clear if Inspired was spotted on vision there, and if that's giving Dan permission to invade on the top side, but there are no camps available for him quite yet.
Yeah, Dan just trying to make sure he power farms here. Inspired was looking around the bot side, does side the base himself. He's moving to his top camp's respawn. And I wonder if Dan's going to try and solo out the Drake here. He knows Rogue's bot lane's basing, but the crab is there for a little bit longer.
Ooh, and double Kalista Spirits, so they're definitely going to know that this is happening. But of course, his bot lane does have Prio here, so can just go for it. There's a reset coming in from Hansama and Trymbi, potentially over-aggressive as the crab will now finally fade away, so not 100% concrete information here. And good news for XL is that while we did see earlier a 15 CS deficit for Patrik there in the bottom lane, that was just a result of waves crashing. Now that he has had times to even things out, it's only about 6 difference.
Yeah, they're going to pick up the Dragon, which is quite surprising. You know, they have the stronger early game junglers because of the lane priors, not necessarily in a 1v1, but just in terms of lane priors, they have way more sort of ways to start the Dragons. But Trymbi's moving up to top side, Inspire's there as well. The wave is stacking against Kryze. He's no mana, so he needs to back off here, but I think they're going to stop him from being able to do so. Trymbi has the flash. Kryze needs to react in time.
Flashed out.
Doesn't even
Swirl Seed, yeah, not just too easy to pick that one up. That's going to be first blood for Rogue. Really solid play here, and got to say, immediate call out to Trymbi. Brand new player on the lineup, not missing a beat, roaming with the jungler. Something we always look at anytime a new player joins is jungle support synergy, often jungle support mid, the 3 roles that are the most mobile around the map.
Yeah, just an intelligent play from Trymbi there. He kind of one-upped XL's thought process there. He knew that if he based, they might try and do the Dragon. He saw Dan go for the Dragon. He thought, well, if I run back bot here, XL's just going to take the Dragon and base, so all I'm going to be doing is watching my Kalista farm. So I may as well run top. Runs top, calls Inspired with him, gets the 2-man dive there in between towers. Kryze gets taken down, loses the flash. Odoamne wasn't really part of that. All he did was pushing the waves, but now that gives him a lot of breathing room because first of all, Kryze flashed and he TP'd back to lane. So now Odoamne has TP advantage, he has the flash, he's level 6 on Kennen. So when it comes to these next Drakes or bot dives, it could be quite deadly for the side of XL.
Absolutely. Alternator now coming in as well, so he's got a bit more trade potential. Although the cooldown is quite long. Should still allow him to win out, as if he wasn't doing that enough already. But we'll see. Itemization you're keeping your eye on for Ivern is obviously the Moonstone Renewer alongside the Staff of Flowing Water. Once he has both of those items, his power level jumps up significantly. It's not quite the same as the Sonataric bot lane, but if you're struggling with the concept, it's very similar in that once there's some items under his belt, he goes from feeling like he does nothing to feeling like he's absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, and it's just cheap overall. I think both items combined are around 4.8 thousand gold, around that area of gold value. I don't think I'm right on the mark, but it's around that area. And the fact is, you get healing, you get bonus shielding, you get move speed, you get ability power. So all these things just boost up your team. And you can see Kryze is stacking in waves. Trymbi does go a bit aggressive. Looks like
trading back.
Trade a little bit back there, like you said. And Rogue just want to make sure they keep up this bot push. And let's see if Rogue can use this mid push, use this jungle priority to actually translate something into bot. We see Larssen getting traded on. Dan does show himself, and Dan is a little bit ahead in jungle. I think it's a tribute to Inspired roaming around the map with his support, but I think Inspired should be able to catch up by clearing out these 2 top camps. But the next objective is the Herald, and XL is moving towards it by the looks of it. But Czekolad does need to go to base. He's out of mana.
And of course, this is a situation where new itemization feels pretty good for Zoe. Obviously, new Seeker's very, very cheap, and yes, it takes a long time to get that armor, but in a lane where you have a lot of time to build up that CS, it does mitigate so much of Lucian's early damage. And similarly, at this point, they're really just trading mana rather than trading on each other to try to prioritize wave pressure.
I like this team play from Rogue here. Making sure everyone bases around the same time, everyone's coming back out on the lanes around the same time too, and moving towards his Herald. So you see Odoamne didn't need to base, he's just moving around, making sure he helps Inspired start the Herald. He's going to catch the bot wave, and I don't think XL has enough tempo on the map to be able to dive him, because I think Patrik might need to base as well. Tora needs to go back and collect some wards. And I just think that it's just a smart play overall from Rogue. And you can see that Trymbi's doing the same thing that Kryze did on the first game. He's making sure he covers Odoamne, making sure he can get this wave securely, and he's around for the dive. They have no TPs, Larssen isn't hovering, so it's going to be a 2v3 if they commit for the dive, but XL don't have TPs either.
Trying to stay out of sight because he knows if he goes undetected in this exchange, and they try to force the dive, the Kennen ult plus the Sett will kill everyone. So giving that respect, though, as it does look like he was spotted out.
Really smart play there. I mean, we saw it in the first game. Kryze covering Humanoid so he can catch the wave. Now Trymbi covering Odoamne. It's really good if you have tempo on bot lane to move up towards the top side, get onto that Herald first, make sure it's secured, have the vision, and then just make sure they can't make a cross-map play. But XL sending more numbers down here now. Rogue don't have any TPs to help this out, so it could be a 4-man dive. Looks like they're trying to make a cross-map play 100% because they know they're going to lose top tower.
It's going to be difficult. Has to be clean. Odoamne, of course, no stopwatch here. A lot of members just looking for the lineup, trying to lay some damage down
too.
But there's really no wave here to dive Odoamne, so he has plenty of time to walk away. That said, Kryze on the way in. Daisy comes out. It'll be difficult to get out, but Odoamne, lightning rush to safety, and XL are behind the play now at this stage of the game. That's going to be second charge on the top lane for the Rift Herald, and we'll even see if XL can actually fully take down this tower. It's going to be so tanky.
XL is losing so much here. They're sharing XP. Patrik needs to base. They're all down on tempo. They're losing top waves. Dragons spawning in 30 seconds. So Rogue have taken top tower. They've got all the gold on the Kalista. They've based. They've come back on the map again because they're basing as a team, which is really important. It reserves your tempo. And then Larssen pushes in mid, and now they can move towards the Dragon. And XL trying to push out waves to try and recover some of that tempo, but I think they're really going to struggle now.
It's going to be one sleepy Aphelios pulled back and flashing to safety, though. Tori going to get the hook and stop any engage from coming through. But it's I think it's good that you keep bringing up the fact that the team is basing as a unit. Because in League of Legends, anytime you base, you're reducing your team's effective strength. So when everyone bases together, that time where your team is weaker, where your team is not able to make plays, where they're forced to basically wait around for you, is significantly reduced. And it's something that we praised the G2 lineup that was smacking everybody in the past for so consistently.
Yeah, and I think there's two key elements to basing together. Either you're basing for spikes, like Hans did, he picked up the shield bow, or you're basing for objectives, and they're doing both. They're picking up items while playing for objectives. They got the Herald on a synced up base, and now they stopped XL from being able to get bot lane plates on a synced up base. They've got bot side vision, and they have TP advantage on Odoamne. So in terms of macro game and how many tools they have to win these team fights, Rogue are doing a phenomenal job, even though they only really have 1 kill.
And we look at the gold, and it absolutely reflects that. 3,500. Of course, XL were able to take away that Mountain Drake. There was a response play, so it wasn't taken freely, but it is something that they can count in their favor. That said, we're seeing Hans Sama consistently left on his own. Big strength of this Kalista is, as we learned from the Shy, doesn't really need anyone else to be an absolutely lethal duelist. And we can't sadly say the same for Patrik and Tor right now. They do have to hold hands. And while it is certainly an incredibly powerful duo, one of the disadvantages is, well, you're going to fall behind in gold when the Kalista's allowed to go to any lane she wants and take any amount of tower plates while you're stuck fighting with a Kennen. And two, she gets to do whatever she wants by herself forever.
And if you saw on that gold sort of place there, you saw Kalista was about a 2,000 gold ahead of Patrik. Now he's only around 20 CS, and they're the same scoreline, but he's 2,000 gold up just because of that top tower. And I think Rogue's been funneling resources on the carries really perfectly. I think they've made their jungle support come together really well. We talked about the base syncing together. So in terms of like pure League of Legends, the essence of League of Legends are playing absolutely amazing.
They are, and I think, you know, a pleasure to see. Again, it's hard to know how quickly lineups are going to come together, how soon we see new players very well integrated. And it was a big question when Vander left this lineup, when Finn left this lineup and Odoamne came in, would we see Rogue hit the ground running? Now, you heard, you know, they got a good scrimmer, right? You put him S tier, and it looks like, well, your information was pretty good, at least for now, Caedrel, as Rogue do look unstoppable. And sadly for XL, right now, a cut above. Maybe that changes once the Ivern items come through and they're able to fight more. That is the plan that they put together for this game. But for right now, they are in a massive deficit.
Yeah, we talked about it in draft. XL don't have many tools to force plays or engage. They only have scaling, essentially, on their side. And once they scale, they're like this ball of death with Ivern shielding the Aphelios and the Udyr. They're walking up, Zoe's poking you, there's hooks flying at you, so it's really annoying. But the problem is they need to actually get to that point to be strong. And I think Rogue's just playing really well around the early game, and XL don't really have the tools to answer it. They lost their TP advantages, they lost topside pressure, their bot lane has to push all the time. Larssen's been quite quiet, but he's collected himself a 20 CS lead, and he's been where he needs to be. So Rogue, just really clinical gameplay so far. I'm excited to see how they want to keep extending it as Larssen drops away from the bubble there, and Rogue just putting these numbers bot side, trying to contest the vision. They know they have Odoamne's TP, and they're ready to get a fight going because they are so far ahead in gold.
Yeah, and of course, one of the things that's important to consider as well is that, well, Ivern is going to be looking to abuse a lot of the new itemization. Odoamne is going to walk away. Odoamne might have a similar story, although he is going to have to hightail it out of here. That's that red buff that you talked about, Caedrel. Kryze able to grab that one for free. But important to note, new proto belt, as Odoamne is probably going to back and buy it. Not only does it give you the dash, after the dash it gives you this massive movement speed steroid. We have to hold that thought as the bot dad could come through. But that means it's even harder to get away from the Kennen.
Yeah, traded flashes there. I think that benefits XL a little bit. Good play from Kryze there. I think the Kennen flash wolf is very dangerous. So Dan running onto Larssen here. He has flash.
Runs out to safety. Trying to get some damage back. Now, Czekolad very low mana. There should be an easy follow-up. Immediate TP now coming in. The team is all playing together. There's no ultimate for Odoamne, but that's not going to stop committing to this play. Not a big wave, though. So might feel like a little bit of a waste onto that one.
Yeah, a little bit of a waste from the TP from Odoamne there, but I want to just highlight how smart Inspired played that fight. Czekolad picked up Larssen's cleanse, and he used the cleanse for move speed, so as soon as Inspired saw that, he knew he couldn't cleanse away from the sleep, just flashed in and pops the ult, so really good reaction from Inspired there. Gets both sums out of Czekolad for a trade of flash, but that TP from Odoamne wasn't really necessary, and Larssen does lose both sums, so I like the idea from Dan, I like the proactivity, but they're still down around 4,000 gold. They need to make more than just that happen.
Definitely do. Good news is that unlike the previous game, the Dragon win condition isn't really on the table quite yet. It will be an Ocean Soul, but with both teams at 1-1, you have to wait a long time for that really to be a threat. And at that point, XL's comp might finally be online. Dan, though, going to answer the question about Udyr itemization, has opted for the Chem Tank, so should be just about unescapable in these fights if he can get something in his favor. That said, Lucian also having the Kraken Slayer means those tanky stats aren't going to mean too much, and important to remember, Chem Tank building out of a lot of magic resistance, so not nearly as effective against a lot of these AD threats.
Yeah, and you can see some of the items coming through. Moonstone You're on the side of Kryze's Ivern here, and they're waiting for the dragon to spawn, but the problem is they're all hovering around this bot side. Kryze is sitting in a bush around mid, but there's nothing to really play for. They need to group up, they need to start forcing things, but it's not that time in the game yet. They need a couple more items, but they know the Herald's going down. They're looking for something on the cross map. That's how these teams work. If something happens on one side of the map, you need to get something on the other side. So denying Hans a wave, trying to take the tower, play things, but XL just going to opt in, try and get the bot tower here and trade for the Herald. But that does mean that someone has to catch the top wave. So Kryze is going to base, knows the play is kind of secured. He's going to run towards top lane to catch the wave that Odoamne is pushing in. And yeah, good play from XL, making sure they trade objectives and not kind of giving up everything.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a good call from Hansama to back off there. Obviously, we saw Odoamne sit under that tower for a long time. The difference with the Kalista, though, is, yeah, while you, in theory, can dance your way around Thresh hooks and Aphelios skill shots, well, once Udyr hits one bear punch on you, you will die. And that's something that has to be respected.
Problem is XL staying for that bot tower. They're down on tempo. Patrick's going to have to base. Odoamne pushed in top and moved down, so that means all of XL are kind of funneled into the top side of the map or in their base. Inspired puts the Herald mid to make sure they have the prio, so they can move towards the Drake whenever they want, and they should have full vision. So once Hans pushes out this bot wave, I think they're going to turn towards a dragon, and that could be the second dragon for Rogue, unless XL think they can stop it in time.
Back off coming through here. Not. Come on.
Ooh, that mid clutch.
I was going to say, that would be awkward. Certainly not the biggest problem, but now Inspired has started the Drake, as mentioned. Dan can try to push in here.
Look at Trymbi. He's in the bush. Has the flash as well, so he can flash flip Patrik if he walks too far up, but I like that XL's contesting this.
The Lantern. Trymbi has to be careful here. As he stayed for too long, he's going to get pulled back. Hansama's going to save the day for now. He's going right back into the team. What's he going to ult, but he gets immediately taken down. Odoamne now stepping forward. Has used the rocket belt. That steroid is gone, and he has no flash available. He's trying to move in, but Dan's just going to take it away. XL keeping much cooler heads in that fight, and Rogue are getting massively punished. Well played.
Yeah, huge play from XL there. Trymbi tried to find the engage. He did get a 5-man knock-up on the Kalista ult, but he couldn't get his W off in time, and I think that XL responded to the play nicely. I think Rogue was a bit too slow on the dragon. You can see here, Trymbi, I think he was trying to get Dan on the ult, but he doesn't actually cast it, and then he gets hooked, but the hook actually flies through him, hits Hans because of the ultimate from Kalista. The knock-up was good, but there's not enough follow-up. Odoamne wasn't quite there yet. Trymbi gets taken down without using his shield, and then XL just chased him down. You can see Odoamne trying to use his ult defensively here to stop Inspire from getting chased down. Dan picks up the dragon, and then the flash forwards from Tori was really, really good communication, knowing Odoamne has no flash, so that's huge for XL. Picking up 2 kills and a dragon, that slows down Rogue's early game, slows down the advantage they've sort of accumulated, and it gets XL scaling even harder.
And it just makes me think, even if this feels a little bit far off at this point in the game, will this be the 3rd time in a row today that we see one team build up a solid early game advantage and have it all taken away on the back of a single play? Because you can definitely see the thought process there from Rogue, and with slightly cleaner execution, with Odoamne in a little bit better position, that could have been 5 kills, an ace, and a dragon. But instead, XL keep cool heads and punish very well to get their 2nd dragon of the game. And when we look at a team that is just trying to scale Caedrel, anytime you get a dragon, you get an objective, you get a kill trade, even a 1-for-1, you're just buying yourself time to get this Ivern online, to abuse the Moonstone plus Staff of Flowing Water.
Yeah, you said it correctly there. I mean, there's loads of resources in League. There's gold, there's tempo, but the most important one is time. If you can just buy time or just waste the enemy's time, it makes it so you can accumulate resources on the other side of the map. So XL definitely buying as much time as they can here. They've shrunken the gold lead down a little bit, but they need to just make sure they keep scaling, stop Rogue from pushing forwards on this advantage. Rogue have taken all the outer towers on the tier 1s. They only have 1 dragon, so they can't really get the soul till around 30-33 minutes. So they need to start pushing for these tier 2s, trying to find collapses with the prior lanes. So you can see the 1-3-1 now. They just want to push out both sides, maybe move towards mid, maybe move towards the side lane, and use these mid-game priorities to try and take down tier 2s.
And for now, it looks like we're going to have the recall coming in for Trymbi, see what his itemization options are. It is just going to be control wards. The sad and ever-continuing life of the support is that now that laners build support items, you are even further behind on the clock as you get to watch them buy all the cheap items meant for you. And you're left with, well, Winged Moon Plate.
Lovely.
And a Kindle Gem.
XL moving towards top side here. Larssen has sums up, but he's way too far forward. The blue orb didn't spot him, I think.
Flash.
They're going to see him now. I think they might try to gun him down. He's running forwards, but
they're really hesitant.
I think they're scared of Inspired being behind him. They don't have any info on Trymbi or Inspired, so I think they thought it might be behind him.
Odoamne TP was up and available, and the wave was pushed forward, so they could have gotten flanked on the back of that play. It may not have worked for them, but definitely feels like they hesitated a bit too much in that instance.
Yeah, I think that ward has been spotting out Dan, the one over the Baron pit, so Rogue's trying to push them out, make sure Larssen can keep this push up.
Trymbi.
Trymbi does show himself there. Larssen pushed in the wave.
Good hook.
Yep.
Inspired going to be in trouble now, running for the hills. will leap out there with the Watch Out Eve just to get a little distance between himself and the XL lineup. But XL doing what they can to fight, to take control of their topside jungle as Larssen will manage to take most of this Krug camp away. And it's a slow, steady process right now for Rogue, pushing this vision line in. But it's definitely not any explosive advantages yielded quite yet. And Larssen burning through most of his mana just to keep the wave pressure forward until he completes that Essence Reaver. He is going to be running pretty regularly if he wants to keep pressure up on the top side.
Yep, building towards that Essence Reaver. It's around a 4,000 gold lead for Rogue here, and you can see the game is quite slow because XL want to scale, they want to play defensively, try and punish Rogue by overextending, and Rogue want to get really deep in the jungle, place the wards, and try to catch out XL, pushing the waves, and just take all their jungle, make sure they have deep wards, and kind of just choke them out, essentially. So Rogue, you can see them trying to step far forwards. XL try to punish it, they get Inspired's flash, so Rogue need to find a way in, because I think XL scaling is quite deadly, but on the other hand, Rogue scaling is not the worst.
No, absolutely not. Kennen, obviously something you always have to respect. When you're going up against the Moonstone build, it does always feel like a bit of a DPS check when the Ivern's there, if you can actually kill these priority targets. But the Aphelios with Cleanse 2 means it should be pretty easy for Patrik to play these one out. Also, when you can take the Lantern into account. But execution, anytime we go late, always will become king unless there is just one team that blatantly outscales. And now we do finally have the double item combo online for the Ivern. This is a big deal. Obviously, you're giving AP, you're giving more healing, and
movement speed.
It kind of just does everything. Yep. To just keep it simple in the spirit of things. It's yeah, just a very, very strong combo. Don't be surprised to see it just about anywhere. Partially because it's good, partially because LS could tell people to build Deathcap first, and they would do it. The man he's got that kind of influence on people.
I think he was the first person to kind of work out that this must be an OP combo, and I think Kryze perhaps tried it in scrims, must agree with it. He's got both items now, so I would assume he's definitely spiking now, and that's why XL clumped up here, looking for the fight. The two items work sort of in harmony together, the move speed, the AP, as Czekolad does try and choke out the Rogue lineup from getting any vision, but the sleep's coming in.
Double sleep is big, he can only save one, so he's going to be forced to flash to safety.
Really good flash from Czekolad there. There's a lot of follow-up on the Rogue lineup. They have the Sett flash hoop, they have the flash forwards from Odoamne as well, and Odoamne is looking for this flank position. I think Kryze did spot him.
He did.
So he should have to back off here, but it's really important the fact that he's below XL, so XL have to go forwards.
And Trymbi is incredibly low too, which means we cannot really see a Sett engage at this point, especially now that the grit has all been taken away. And you do see Rogue recognizing that. Instead, they're going to start pressuring down mid lane, knowing that they have to give this Ocean up. Now, this will be a positive goal trade, but will mean that in the next Drake, they will have to fight no matter what else they want to do. Maybe you could look to trade it for Baron, but it will be a forced fight at some point in the near future.
Yeah, that's really important. 4 minutes 40 on the clock until the next dragon. XL will get the Ocean Soul, but you can see Rogue's respect to XL there. They were grouped up as 5. Odoamne had a decent flank position behind them, but they didn't want to commit to the fight. Trymbi was too low. They instead decided to go for their topside jungle, push in all the waves, and just go for more tempo instead of fighting the objective. So XL on Dragon Soul point, and one of the strongest souls in the game, especially when you have this Ivern combo. So really, really important for Rogue to contest that.
Yeah, definitely. Never look forward to seeing an Ocean Soul in my games. Patrik now has to run for the hills. Is forced to flash away. Swifties and the Wing Moon Plate definitely paying off here. Hansama has opted to go for Wit's End third, the Hearthbound Axe, as well as the Negatron Cloak? Negatron Cloak. So we'll do a little bit more magic damage, split his damage profile more, and potentially get Trymbi caught out as well, as now we see Trymbi just instantly deleted.
Yeah, Trymbi's positioning has not been great. Some of the fights have been getting caught out. He's been getting poked out, and now he's just going way too deep in their jungle alone. No backup, no waves to cover him, no champions either, so a bit of a mistake there from the side of Trymbi. But not the end of the world, no objectives for XL. I feel like the next kind of team fight is going to blow this game open for either team. Yes, XL is down in gold, but in terms of pure power as 5, I think that they're pretty much even or ahead of Rogue. So Rogue need to make sure that they find their way into fights, really calculate to try and get Odoamne behind. He has got the Void Staff now, so he should do a lot of damage on the backline, but XL have managed to get this 2-3 item spike without being punished too hard, and they did manage to get a lot of Drakes in the meantime.
Yeah, and of course, it's just difficult. I think that's the big thing. You know, and with this new build especially, there's a lot of hidden gold efficiency. And obviously, anytime we want to understand who's ahead, it's really easy to look at the gold. But that doesn't take into account champion scaling, and that doesn't take into account item efficiency either. And support items, just in general, very strong. The limitation, you have to use them with somebody else. But let me tell you, when you can use them, they're just good. But for now, Odoamne going to be leaping into the fight. The follow-up is there. The dunk back down. Rogue certainly taking priority. But Patrik looking to make the difference as Trymbi's in the midst of it. Everything. And Larssen is just throwing down damage left and right. Moonstone be damned. Rogue are not interested. That is the ace.
That's a huge mistake from XL. I think they thought they were stronger than they are. I mean, they were split up. They walked in to try and get vision. They get caught out, and they managed to lose the fight 5-0. So like I said, I think one team fight's going to blow this game open. So I think Rogue going to get this Baron obviously quite easily. And now that gold lead just swung into a 7k value. They're going to get the mid tier 2, they're going to get the Baron, and I think that just all comes off one small mistake from XL, from getting too cocky to get the vision control. I think they weren't grouped up enough. I think the idea was good, but the execution just wasn't there. And I think if you just watch this fight again, Torre, Dan, and Patrik as a 3-man just walk in. But like I said, the mid wave is so important. And Odoamne says, guys, we need to punish this. And Trymbi, he makes up for what he's been doing all game. He does get the good flash stun, gets a good flash ult, gets Kalista ult to throw him back in. Patrik has no flash, and just managed to use a W in time before he gets taken down. So there, you can see Kryze is just way too split from his carries. He can't shield them. He can't use this efficient gold items that he has to shield his AD carry and get him popping off in the fights. And now XL, yeah, the gold lead's just really, really high now. Rogue spiking on 3 items. They're so much ahead in XP, and they can just control the whole map. They should be able to get this dragon away from XL. Maybe XL can group up and try to find something.
4k damage coming in from Larssen in that fight. Absolutely massive performance. But Trymbi should just be dead here. Again, caster cursing him, I feel like, Caedrel.
Yes,
the second you praise him, he instantly dies. That said, should not cost Rogue too much. Maybe cuts a little bit of effective time off this Baron, as Rogue can't fully commit to any big objectives. But tier 2s should be pretty easy pickings, at least for Odoamne in this circumstance.
Yeah, just being careful. He doesn't know where XL are, so just making sure he gets the top tier 2. And like you said, it's not the end of the world. Trymbi should respawn before the dragon. Yes, XL is going to push out the mid wave. They should get some kind of vision, but I think Rogue should be able to retake it whenever they want on the next mid wave, as long as they don't make too many mistakes. And yeah, this dragon's really important. I think if XL lose this dragon, Rogue should be able to run away with the game just because of the gold and the amount of power that they have from their carries. And I think that Patrik having no flash, Czekolad's flash is coming up, but there's loads of flashes missing on the side of XL, so walking in and face checking must be quite difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, looking at this generally, it feels like they're going to be a difficult task for XL, because I think we can on paper. And again, I don't have that much experience with this build. I know that it's very strong. I've seen it in action once or twice, but it's hard for me to say if this build is enough to overcome 10k deficit. I would definitely assume no, but I know that it balances out a little bit of that. That said, Hansama will not be balanced, and he will instantly just one-shot Patrik, and that is really the sole consistent damage source on this XL lineup, so it can start to poke back here, but Rogue should just be able to have a field day on this base, and XL may just lose in this moment if Rogue can collapse this many waves.
Yeah, Patrik's dead for 30 seconds. They're definitely going to get double inhib here. The hook does land, so Trymbi is going to get a little bit of poke on him, but I think that Rogue can just go forwards. See, Hans just diving in. He's so fed, has the QSS to stop the Udyr stun, and do they want to go for more, or do they want to turn and get this dragon? Because I think the dragon is way more important and way less risky, and essentially secures you 5 more minutes of just, yeah, pure advantages across the map.
Yeah, definitely a value proposition a little bit more favorable there, and difficult game. When we look at XL, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about Dan, we're going to talk a lot about Czekolad, as those are the new members, but as mentioned by the desk and mentioned by you, Caedrel, Patrik is a guy that is so good and that so often was responsible for carrying XL last season. So to see him essentially picked off back-to-back in 2 fights just feels like GG for XL if they cannot protect this guy. And he's only 2.5 items. He doesn't even have the IE yet at this point in the game.
He's also 3 levels down to Hans, who just hit 16. It's the gold deficit. He's 4,000 gold behind Hans. Does manage to live. Yeah, it's really difficult for him. You can see mid lane's down 3,000 gold, jungle's down 2,000 gold. They're all down in gold, but mainly the AD carry role, 2 levels down, lots of gold down. And Rogue, now that they have double inhib, they only really have to play on bot wave, but they want to make sure the top and mid wave crash. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Odoamne staying in mid, hovering around top, making sure these waves crash into towers, kind of poking out whoever tries to cover it. And you can see XL trying to go as deep as they can in bot lane to push out the wave as far as they can to buy as much time as they can. So Rogue will have to wait for the next wave to come before they can start sieging. And Odoamne is just going to be a little prod in the side of XL, just making sure these waves crash. Has the TP if he needs to respond to any fights. And Rogue looking really strong here for the next siege on the tier 3.
Yeah, looking really strong for just about anything. 4 minutes, of course, to the next Drake. XL, maybe they can sneak something or punish Rogue for overextending and get themselves an Ocean Soul. That could very quickly shift this game back in their favor, but it'll still be hard for them to win out on these fights. There's double Zanyas for both of the squishier members on the Rogue lineup, both those AP threats, so they can't really burst those guys out. Similarly, we've got QSSs, we've got cleanses. They cannot simply bear stun someone and one-shot them. It's going to take a little bit more than that for XL to find a one fight.
Yeah, they're trying to fight on this bush line that they have. You can see the bush line trying to keep the Zoe in there, trying to use poke, trying to get the hooks out. But the problem is they have to answer top and mid wave. They're crashing into the tier 4s. They have to answer it. The Ivern doesn't have wave clear, so they need Patrik on this Aphelios to make sure he can push out these waves and then just keep answering Rogue's bot waves. And Rogue, do they want to go for a 5-man dive? Do they want to just keep poking this tower down? Or they just want to turn towards the Baron later on in the game?
And they're going to leap forward. Has the shielding coming in on him, but has to be careful. He tries to overcommit. Trymbi going to go away, looking for the big back dunk. Is going to get immediately taken out, but there's Odoamne with the follow-up. Rocket belting rather his way to safety, but Rogue have just absolutely decimated XL in that fight. 2 quick kill pickups traded for their support. Absolutely a positive exchange with minion waves crashing in as well. You have to feel like this might just be over. Patrik whiffing the ult too, just insult to injury.
Yep, 2 for 1 here, and Rogue are trying to go for towers, but Patrik.
Big snare. Decent damage. Healing now coming back from Odoamne. He has so much life steal now in this exchange.
Larssen.
Oh, 80 carries. Might as well stack 2. Czekolad goes down, and that's going to be it. Rogue, absolute dominance in this game versus XL as they're going to close out their first one with a win.
Yeah, I think Rogue played really clinically. They only made a couple of mistakes, just overextending for vision around the Dragon fight as well, especially just mistakes. Maybe not so much poor decision making, but just kind of going in too early, wait for more teammates. And I think that just comes with more experience from Trymbi. I think a couple more games, he shouldn't make those mistakes later on, but you can see the core components of Rogue just showing up, you know. Odoamne having a great game, Inspired and Larssen playing pretty much flawlessly in Hans, doing what Hans does, jumps in, punishes Patrik twice for overstepping, and essentially Rogue just picked the fights well. They gave up fights on Dragons that they knew they'd lose, and they went for the good ones.
Well, and I don't know if you said this deliberately or if it's a slip of the tongue, but calling Odoamne immediately after one game a core component of the team.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good look, though.
He did his job.
Exactly, right? That's the thing. But I know, but I think that's a really good, it's a testament to how quickly he has adapted to being on this lineup. Of course, he sadly for him will not be on the key player of the game vote. You can pick between Trymbi, Larssen, or Inspired. At LEC on Twitter, of course, is going to be the place. But overall, incredibly strong showing from Rogue in this first game. That said, last year, Sjokz No Fear pulled off a miracle run for the history books. And tonight, they're going to look to build on that success against Vitality in our next game.
Pog.
Lovely.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the LEC 2021 Rogue. Win the first game here against an Excel team who drafted an Ivern top lane and a Udyr jungle. Trymbi, how is that for a first game in the LEC?
Well, that was for sure the picks that we didn't expect them to pick, but well, I didn't really think about it. I was trying to be like the most useful as I could be, but unfortunately I was choking quite a lot, and yeah, I was dying for no reason at some point.
I mean, of course, that's your opinion. I think you played really well, and you're still new in the LEC. I know you were very excited about playing in the league, so you're well guided by a bunch of veterans that can teach you a lot of things. So tell me about everything you learned from them so far.
Well, for sure, even if I talk about this game, I felt a little bit down at first due to the fact that I was not showing up the best possible way, and they're always cheering me up and trying to make me feel as comfortable as possible. So I'm really glad that I have such people around me and I can work with them and play with them. That was for sure something really nice. And overall, I feel like I just learn day by day, and I try to get as much experience and as much knowledge as I can from all of these players, coaches, and everyone that is around that.
I cannot wait to see more from you. I mean, we heard so many good things about you being one of the most promising supports here in the LEC. So tell me about your personal goals as a player for this year and maybe the Spring Split to start.
Well, for sure, I'll need some practice on Sett after what I played today, that's for sure, and I'll try to... I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I try to play as best as possible. So that's why I say that I don't play that well, but I think right now I just need to try to think more about the game, about the stuff that I didn't used to before, when I was playing in the national leagues, and I just need to try to get comfortable and used to all of the new stuff that is in here in LEC. I for sure feel right now that it's hard for me to get used to instantly, so I try to make myself as comfortable as possible so I can play the way I always used to, and which kinda gave me the opportunity to be here as well.
Yeah, I hope you can get on a level that satisfies you. I mean, of course, we are looking forward to seeing more from you here in the LEC. But is there any players or team you're looking forward to facing in particular here?
In particular, for sure, I would like to face G2 to see how I can perform versus them, but tomorrow we'll face Fnatic, so it's for sure gonna be a challenge for me at least, and that I'll need to show up and try to be like in my best shape and try to actually be able to match them, because on bot lane they're for sure really aggressive, and I would like to match it and see what happens afterwards.
It's going to be an insane matchup against Professor Healy here against Fnatic. But Trymbi, thank you so much for the interview. Welcome to the LEC 2021, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you very much as well.
You're welcome. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back for Game 4 here, Vitality versus Schalke 04. Stay tuned.